What if I told you that a shocking letter from Pretoria has just surfaced, claiming that Edgar Lungu might still be alive? A revelation so explosive that it could spark arrests, international scandals, and even tear apart Zambia's political future. Tonight, we dive deep into the cover-ups, the family secrets, and the power games shaping Zambia, and why the world, from Lusaka to London to Washington, is suddenly paying attention. Stay with us, because what you're about to hear will leave you speechless. Breaking news. A leaked Pretoria letter has ignited shocking claims that former Zambian President Edgar Lungu may still be alive. Could this revelation expose a massive cover-up scandal and put his family at risk of arrest? In this documentary-style analysis, we unpack what the Pretoria letter really says, why Zambia's political elite may be hiding the truth, the possible arrest threats facing the Lungu family, how this story has captured global attention from Zambia to the US, UK, and beyond. This is more than just politics. It's about power, secrecy, and Africa's fight for truth. Watch till the end as we break down the connections, the scandals, and the consequences. Subscribe to InspirAfrica Official for more deep investigations into African politics and global power. Understanding the Pretoria letter context. Zambia, a landlocked nation in southern Africa, has experienced significant political transitions since its independence in 1964. Edgar Lungu, the sixth president of Zambia, led the country from 2015 to 2021 under the Patriotic Front (PF) banner. His presidency was marked by economic challenges, allegations of corruption, and increasing political polarization. In 2021, Lungu lost the presidential election to Hakainde Hichilema of the United Party for National Development (UPND), marking a significant shift in Zambia's political landscape. Since then, Lungu has remained a prominent opposition figure, occasionally making headlines for his criticisms of the UPND government. The query refers to a Pretoria letter that allegedly claims Lungu is alive, implying a scenario where his death was rumored or announced, followed by a dramatic revelation. Pretoria, the administrative capital of South Africa, could be a plausible origin for such a letter due to Zambia's historical ties with South Africa, including diplomatic and economic relations. However, without specific details about this letter, its author, recipient, or contents, it's challenging to verify its existence. The subtopics suggest a complex narrative involving Lungu's family, potential arrests, a cover-up, and international interests, which may reflect Zambia's polarized political climate and global scrutiny of its governance. This analysis will assume the Pretoria letter is a hypothetical or unverified claim circulating in political or media circles, possibly as misinformation or a political maneuver. Each subtopic will be explored in the context of Zambia's political dynamics, Lungu's legacy, and plausible scenarios, while acknowledging the lack of concrete evidence about the letter itself. What the letter claims about Lungu. The claim that Edgar Lungu is alive suggests a prior narrative, perhaps a rumor, misinformation campaign, or official statement, indicating that he had died. In the absence of confirmed reports of Lungu's death, as of March 2024, this section will explore the implications of such a claim and its potential origins. Edgar Lungu, born in 1956, was 67 years old in 2024 and known to be in relatively good health, though public figures often face health-related rumors. In many African political contexts, rumors about a leader's death can serve multiple purposes: to destabilize their political base, test public reaction, or discredit opponents. If a Pretoria letter claims Lungu is alive, it could be a response to a fabricated death announcement, possibly orchestrated by political rivals to sow confusion among his supporters in the Patriotic Front. Alternatively, the letter could be part of a broader political strategy. For instance, Lungu's opponents in the UPND might benefit from rumors of his death to weaken the PF's cohesion, especially if Lungu remains a unifying figure for the opposition. A letter from Pretoria, a neutral or external location, might lend credibility to the counterclaim that Lungu is alive, suggesting an attempt to clarify or manipulate public perception. South Africa's role as a regional power and its history of mediating political disputes in southern Africa, e.g. Zimbabwe, Lesotho, could explain why Pretoria is cited as the letter's origin. Without the letter's text, its claims about Lungu could include confirmation of his survival. The letter might assert that Lungu is alive and well, possibly in hiding or exile, to counter a death rumor. Details of a plot. It could allege that the death rumor was a deliberate act by the UPND or other actors to marginalize Lungu politically. Health or location specifics. The letter might claim Lungu is receiving medical treatment in South Africa or elsewhere, explaining his absence from public view. The plausibility of such claims depends on Zambia's political climate. Lungu's loss in 2021 was followed by tensions between the PF and UPND, including allegations of political persecution. A rumor of Lungu's death, followed by a letter claiming he is alive, could be a tactic to rally PF supporters or expose government overreach. Family under pressure. Arrest rumors. The suggestion that Lungu's family faces arrest rumors points to a broader narrative of political retribution. Lungu's family, including his wife, Esther Lungu, and their children, have been in the public eye due to allegations of corruption during his presidency. Since the UPND took power in 2021, the government has pursued anti-corruption campaigns targeting former PF PF officials, including Lungu's associates. In 2023, Esther Lungu was briefly arrested by Zambia's Anti-Corruption Commission (ACC) and Drug Enforcement Commission (DEC) over allegations of owning properties deemed proceeds of crime. These actions fueled perceptions among PF supporters that the UPND was targeting Lungu's family to weaken his political influence. If the Pretoria letter is linked to arrest rumors, it might claim that the government is escalating its campaign by threatening Lungu's family to suppress opposition activity. Possible scenarios include arrests as political leverage. The UPND might be accused of planning to arrest Lungu's family to pressure him into silence or exile, especially if he remains a vocal critic. Family as scapegoats. The government could target Lungu's relatives to deflect attention from its own challenges, such as economic difficulties or public discontent. Linked to the letter might allege that arrests are imminent as part of a cover-up to conceal Lungu's status, e.g., if he is alive but in hiding. However, without evidence of new arrests or specific threats as of 2025, these rumors may stem from Zambia's polarized media environment, where sensational claims often circulate on social media or partisan outlets. The PF has accused the UPND of weaponizing state institutions like the ACC, while the UPND insists it is upholding the rule of law. Arrest rumors could also be a tactic by Lungu supporters to garner sympathy and mobilize their base. The cover-up allegations. The mention of a cover-up scandal suggests that the Pretoria letter accuses certain actors, likely the UPND government or its allies, of concealing the truth about Lungu's status. A cover-up could involve suppressing news of Lungu's survival. If Lungu were alive but out of the public eye, e.g., in exile or hiding, the government might be accused of spreading false narratives to weaken the PF. Orchestrating a death rumor. The UPND could be alleged to have fabricated Lungu's death to disrupt opposition unity, with the letter exposing this plot. Hiding political motives. The cover-up might involve broader efforts to silence Lungu's influence, such as through legal actions against his family or allies. Cover-up allegations are common in Zambia's political discourse, where trust in institutions is low. During Lungu's presidency, the PF faced accusations of covering up corruption and electoral irregularities. Since 2021, the UPND has faced similar claims of targeting opponents under the guise of anti-corruption efforts. The Pretoria letter could be a tool to amplify these narratives, portraying the UPND as manipulative or authoritarian. Without specific details, the cover-up's plausibility hinges on political motives. The UPND might benefit from Lungu's absence, as he remains a polarizing figure capable of rallying opposition voters. However, fabricating a death rumor would be a high-risk strategy, likely to backfire if exposed. The letter's claim of a cover-up could also originate from external actors, such as PF sympathizers or foreign entities with interests in Zambia's stability. HH and UPND's silence explained. Hakainde Hichilema, known as HH, and the UPND have maintained a cautious public stance on many issues since taking power in 2021. If the Pretoria letter is circulating, their silence could be strategic or reactive, depending on the situation. Possible reasons for silence include avoiding legitimizing rumors. By not commenting, HH and the UPND avoid amplifying unverified claims about Lungu's status, which could fuel political unrest or distract from governance priorities. Legal or investigative caution. If the letter involves allegations of a cover-up or arrests, the government might refrain from public statements to avoid prejudicing ongoing investigations or legal actions. Political calculation. Silence could be a tactic to let the opposition overplay its hand, especially if the letter is seen as a PF-orchestrated stunt to discredit the UPND. Lack of credible information. If the letter is obscure or lacks credibility, the government might deem it unworthy of a response. Hichilema's leadership style has emphasized stability and economic recovery, often avoiding direct confrontation with opposition figures like Lungu. However, this silence could be misinterpreted by PF supporters as evidence of guilt or weakness, especially if the letter gains traction. The UPND's history of facing accusations of authoritarianism, e.g., arrests of opposition figures, might also make silence a safer option to avoid escalating tensions. Why the world is watching. UK and US angle. Zambia's political developments often attract international attention due to its strategic importance in southern Africa. The UK and US, as major donors and partners, have vested interests in Zambia's stability, governance, and economic policies. UK interest. Historical ties. As Zambia's former colonial power, the UK maintains diplomatic and economic links, including aid programs and investments in mining and agriculture. Democratic governance. The UK has supported Zambia's democratic transitions, including the 2021 election. Allegations of a cover-up or political persecution could prompt scrutiny from British diplomats, especially if human rights concerns arise. Economic stakes. British companies, such as those in the mining sector, rely on Zambia's stability. Political turmoil involving Lungu could disrupt investments. U.S. interests. Geopolitical strategy. The U.S. views Zambia as a counterbalance to Chinese influence in Africa, given China's significant investments in Zambia's infrastructure and mining. A stable Zambia under Hichilema aligns with U.S. interests in promoting democratic governance. Anti-corruption agenda. The U.S. has supported Zambia's anti-corruption efforts, including those targeting Lungu's associates. A scandal involving a cover-up or arrests could complicate this support if it appears politically motivated. Regional stability. Zambia's role in southern Africa makes its political climate a concern for the U.S., especially if instability risks spreading to neighbors like the Democratic Republic of Congo or Zimbabwe. The Pretoria letter could draw attention if it suggests democratic backsliding or human rights issues, prompting statements from the UK or US embassies. Both countries have previously commented on Zambia's elections and governance, urging transparency and fairness. However, without evidence of the letter's impact, their involvement might remain limited to monitoring. Zambia's future after Lungu. Edgar Lungu's political influence remains a key factor in Zambia's future, whether he is active, sidelined, or the subject of rumors. His presidency left a mixed legacy. Supporters credit him with infrastructure development, while critics highlight economic mismanagement and democratic erosion. The UPND's victory in 2021 signaled a shift toward economic reform and anti-corruption, but challenges like debt, inflation, and unemployment persist. If the Pretoria letter is accurate and Lungu is alive but marginalized, his role in Zambia's future could evolve. Opposition leadership. Lungu might continue rallying the PF, potentially contesting future elections or supporting a successor. Political polarization. His presence could deepen divisions, especially if the UPND is seen as targeting him or his family. Reconciliation or exile. Lungu could seek a reduced role to avoid conflict, or, if in exile, become a symbol of resistance. If the letter is a fabrication, Zambia's future depends on how the government and opposition manage misinformation. The UPND's ability to deliver on economic promises will shape public trust, while the PF's cohesion without Lungu could weaken its electoral prospects. Zambia's young population and growing urban middle class will also demand accountability, potentially reducing the influence of figures like Lungu over time. Final analysis and global implications. The Pretoria letter narrative, while unverified, reflects broader themes in Zambian and African politics. Misinformation, power struggles, and external scrutiny. If real, the letter could expose tensions between the UPND and PF, with implications for democratic stability. Globally, it highlights the challenges of combating misinformation in polarized societies, a phenomenon seen in many democracies. The UK and US will likely monitor developments to ensure Zambia remains a stable partner. However, without concrete evidence, the letter risks being dismissed as political theater. Zambia's future hinges on balancing accountability with unity, ensuring that narratives like the Pretoria letter do not derail progress. Conclusion. Without verifiable details about the Pretoria letter, this analysis has explored its potential implications based on Zambia's political context and Lungu's role. The subtopics reveal a complex interplay of domestic rivalries and international interests, but the lack of evidence limits definitive conclusions. For updates, users can check credible sources or platforms like x.com for real-time information. If more details emerge, a deeper analysis could be provided.